For today's East Bay Beer Incursion number 5, we're biking to 4 breweries, including one last round, the local favourite closing after 22 years. We're also visiting the iconic Grand Lake Theatre for its centennial, paying our respects to the Coliseum and tracking down Jimi Hendrix's local roots.
The hedges first. Drink the clear, clean water for to quench my thirst. And I will watch the ferry boats and they'll get high against the blue ocean, against the moral sky. And I will walk and talk in gardens all wet with rain. I never, ever, ever, ever get so old again. Sweet thing. Yeah, 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 yeah. Sweet thing. Hey, I will drive my chariot down your streets and cry. Hey, it's me, I'm dynamite and I don't know why. And you will take me to warm your arms again. And I will not remember that I ever felt the pain. And I will walk and talk, God is all wet with rain. And never, ever, 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 ever get so old again. Sweet thing. Yeah, 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 sweet thing. Shining in your eyes, just to dig it all and not to wonder. That's just fine, that's just fine, that's just fine. And I'll be satisfied not to read in between the lines. And I will walk and talk, God is all wet with rain. Never, ever, 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 ever get so old again. Sweet thing. Sweet thing. Sugar baby. Sugar baby. Sugar baby. With a saint-like smile.
We got off the ferry at Richmond and immediately met someone who recognized us, or rather our bikes, from YouTube. We had such a nice chat with Paul and his lovely wife, who gave us some recommendations for future visits to the East Bay. After we said our goodbyes, I noticed that Paul sent us some beer money for our day. Thank you so much, and next time we meet, it's our round. The Coliseum opened in 1966 and was a long-time home of the Oakland A's until 2024 and the Oakland Raiders until 2019. I don't follow either baseball or football, so please take my uneducated opinion with a grain of salt. To me, it looks like the wealthy owners of both these teams repeatedly fleeced the city of Oakland for money, and when their bullying no longer worked, they went elsewhere. Their actions show to me that they never really cared about the fans. To me, sports should always be about the local fan base first. I say good riddance to those owners, and hopefully new sports teams that come here will talk less about franchises and product and more about local fans. The Coliseum, just like the now demolished Candlestick in San Francisco, when built was hailed as the very latest in stadium design. However, the concrete stadium quickly became something of an eyesore. The bowl itself features an underground design where the playing surface is actually 21 feet below sea level. The stadium that some love to hate was described by the New York Times as a bland, charmless concrete monstrosity that isn't worthy of preservation, perhaps America's most hated sports stadium. Others, however, were drawn by its grittiness and cheap beer and food. Jack Nicklaus, also of New York Times, grew to love it, and in a famous article entitled "The Beauty of America's Ugliest Ballpark," likened it to baseball's last dive bar. In 2017, the field was renamed to Rickey Henderson Field to honor the Baseball Hall of Famer, an Oakland native, widely celebrated as one of the greatest leadoff hitters in baseball history. My wife, Natalia, likes to tell the story of how she met Rickey when she was working in Oakland in the late 90s. During a lunchtime workout at her gym, some guy approaches her and says, "Rickey would like to meet you." My wife, being polite, said hello, but was somewhat confused by the whole interaction. When she returned to work, she told her co-workers about the strange meeting with a man named Rickey. Of course, everyone was blown away that she had met him, but had no idea who he was. For a time afterwards, her co-workers made her bring a baseball to her gym every day so that he could sign it if he ever saw her again. Finally, and most relevant for this video, is that Jimi Hendrix played a very famous show here in 1969. It featured a guest appearance by Jefferson Airplane bassist Jack Cassidy and ended with a now mythical 18-minute finale of Hendrix's Voodoo Child. Interestingly, there was no official audio recording of this legendary show except a bootleg made by a fan. Over the years, the recording, despite its poor quality, became a holy grail for collectors. Because of the interest, the Hendrix family finally allowed the official release of the recording for the album Live at the Oakland Coliseum, a full 28 years after Hendrix died in 1970. I've had a number of favourite beers over the years. When in Ireland, it's always Guinness. In California, my favourites were Anchor Steam and 4 Points Park Pale Ale. Despite my best efforts to drink enough to keep them afloat, both are no longer available. That brings me to Ghost Town. I would definitely say they are my current favourite, particularly their West Coast Pale Ales. I will say, however, they can be a little on the strong side, so for day-to-day usage, Sierra Nevada is still my go-to beer. Opened exactly 100 years ago, the Grand Lake Theatre in Oakland is an institution. Its iconic exterior includes a 52-foot high sign, and its interior retains all the detail of one of America's greatest movie palaces. I visited here a few years ago when it stepped in to host the Noir City movie series that is usually held at the Castro. Just like the Castro, it has an organ that rises from the stage before movies commence. Unusually, it's managed to survive as a cinema all these years. Many have been demolished, and a few, including the Castro, have been altered to allow for live music performances. All the credit has to go to the owner, Alan McCann, who acquired the building in 1980, and since then it's clear that it has been a labour of love. He's quoted as saying, "What I've tried to do here at the Grand Lake is preserve the classic golden age of Hollywood movie-going experience." To underscore its importance to the community, the movie Sinners had its premiere here. The director, Ryan Coogler, grew up nearby and has said, "The Grand Lake Theatre is where I watched some of my first movies with my parents. It means the world to me." Jimi Hendrix was born in Seattle in 1942. His childhood was marked by family dysfunction and poverty. Lucille, his mother, struggled to care for him and often had him stay with friends and relatives. His father, Al, was in the military in Alabama at the time of his son's birth and did not get to meet him for almost 3 years. Once discharged in 1945, Al made his way here to this apartment building in Berkeley. This is where Jimmy, who was staying with a family friend, met his father for the very first time. Jimmy's journey as a guitar prodigy began when, as a 14-year-old, he found a one-string ukulele in a dumpster. By 17, he was playing in local bands. His big break came in 1966 in New York City's Greenwich Village. Keith Richards' then girlfriend saw him play and was so impressed that she persuaded Jimmy to move to London. Here, Hendrix mesmerized a who's who of 60s rock royalty. Paul McCartney, George Harrison, Pete Townsend, to name just a few, all were blown away by his ability and charisma. It was almost like he came from a different planet. Eric Clapton supposedly joked that, "I think I'll go back to my old job at the post office." He returned to the US for his landmark performance at the 1967 Monterey Pop Festival. Here he famously concluded his set by lighting his guitar on fire. He went on to other iconic performances like Woodstock and the Summer of Love here in San Francisco. Sadly, in 1970, aged just 27, he died of a drug overdose in a Paris hotel room. Unfortunately, our next stop will be our first and last visit to the Trumer Pils Brewery. It was recently acquired and production will be moved to Paso Robles. Firestone, the acquirer, has offered assurances that the brand will continue, but as with any sale, we will have to wait and see. I'm personally not much of a Pilsner drinker, but Trumer has built quite a reputation for itself over the last 22 years. It has a unique origin story in that its beer recipes come directly from a 400-year-old brewery in Austria. Having visited, I'm already sad to see this place go. Everyone was really friendly and down to earth. The bartender recognized us and asked us if we were the two guys who bike around visiting breweries and bars in the East Bay. I even had a Pilsner, which was excellent. Our third brewery of the day is Wonderous Brewing in Emeryville. It's small and has a very nice laid-back vibe. I also really like its name. We met up with our friend Courtney, who is always up for an afternoon beer and a bike ride. Our final stop of the day is a glorious ride of 6 miles in the evening sun out to the island of Alameda.
Same thing. Same thing. Sugar baby. Sugar baby. Sugar baby. With a saint-like smile and a beautiful mind and a champagne eyes. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take his broken wing, learn to fly all your life. You were only waiting for this moment to arise. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take your sunken eyes, learn to see all your life. You are only waiting for this moment to be free. You are only waiting for this moment to be free. You're only waiting for this moment to be free.
So many of you pointed out that our last visit to Alameda missed Admiral Maltings pub, the Rake. We're so glad we returned. Technically not a brewery but a malt house, the bar features many of the beers and craft brewers that Admiral supplies malt to. Again, a very relaxed place with large windows that overlook the floor of the malt house. If you have any suggestions for future rides, please send them my way. Also join us for our upcoming BikeEveryHood club rides. The next is in San Francisco, and in June we'll visit Ireland's third highest pub.